went to a Pentacle show when I was in high school. The first one that I saw was the Gin Game with Bob Putnam. And then I saw Biloxi Blues. But the first show that I really auditioned for was just out of high school. I auditioned for Cabaret in 1992. It was with Joe Dodge and directed it. And yes, it was a fantastic experience. I was a young, naive, just out of high school. And I was a pretty innocent kid. So coming out to the theater in a show like that, is just like, okay. And it was a lot of Pentacle veterans, and here I was the newbie, but it sparked something in me, and that's why I've been there ever since. I was a little scared, petrified, sitting in that room, because that's when we used to be in the lobby of the theater. Well, I guess they still are in the lobby of the theater, but where they tell you the cast right then and there, kind of thing. And here I am, and all these people are around talking to each other and like hugging each other, and I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know any of you. I mean, I had a couple of friends that were auditioning as well, so I mean that was nice. But once everybody started singing, I felt a little better. That's something I feel like I do pretty decently. And so I just got up there and I was like, I'm just going to go for it and, see what happens. And I went for it, and Joe was like, oh my God, where have you been? So, so there we go. Yeah, I did a little research preparing for today. I have been in 25. I was about ready to be in my 26th when all of this happened, being cast as Bobby and company. But so yeah, I've been in 25, and then I have music directed or vocal directed 11, and I was a director for 4 of them, and assistant directed 2, and was on the crew for 3 other ones. For basic, I think overall it was 39. Maybe company would be the 40th production. Yes, yes. I mean, they're for different reasons. Absolutely. I've been in primarily musicals at the Pinnacle. I have done a few straight shows. My favorite straight show that I did was probably Charlie's Aunt, if you will. I was planning on auditioning for Godspell. It was the show happening right after it, which is a show I've always wanted to do, was Godspell. And C. Skoons came to me and she goes, no, I need you to audition for this. And I'm like, no. And she goes, well, will you at least just come read for me? And I said, sure, I would love to. I'll come do that, because it's always good to have the experience. And I just had a blast. That show was a great cast to be involved with, but just running around that theater in a full suit underneath a dress and wig and everything, and in the heat of the summer. Mind you, I'm running outside around the deck in 95-degree weather. I think I probably lost 17, 18 pounds during that show. I had a really good time with that. And I'm really glad that I stepped out of my comfort zone to do a show like that, because that's not what I normally do. But as far as musicals go, there's a handful that hold a special place in my heart. Obviously, Les Mis. I never even thought to have put that show on my bucket list, because I didn't think that Pentacle Theatre would ever attempt to do something like that. And when Robert said, oh no, we're going to try it, I was like, oh gosh, okay. So just singing that role and that song, Bring Him Home, I'm a choir teacher and a music teacher. I've taught voice lessons, and that's one of the songs that I don't ever let kids sing. I've never sung it in my life prior to that show, because it's got to come from a place that you can't just duplicate unless you're like in it and know that character. And so getting to sing that song finally and feeling pretty decent about that show, actually, it was just a dream come true, actually. on the very other end of the spectrum would be probably the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. I played William Barfay, and I got to be as gross and obnoxious and awful to people on stage. It's a very improvisatory show. So I was the little geeky kid, and I had the little fanny pack that had a bunch of my supplies in it, but I would sit there and like pick my nose and rub it on the people next to me, and just gross stuff, because that's what he did. And Robert was just like, go for it. And we had different audience members up on stage with us every night, because it involves different audience members spelling. So Robert made sure someone always sat next to me, and the looks that I got were awesome. It was just a great cast, and just the nature of it, where it was like you had to trust each other on stage every night, because it was different every night, because you had different people on stage from the audience, and who knew, and they were on stage for quite a long time. So, they spelled that word right that no one has ever spelled right. Okay, we're going to go to this next thing now, kind of thing. So it was super fun to be in that with that group of people. And some of my very best friends were in that show with me. So that was fun. I would say probably Rent would be one of my all-time favorites. It's just special. I have loved that show since its inception. I saw the original Broadway cast in New York, and I never thought that I would play Angel because it's not me. That I was like, really, Angel? And they're like, no, Angel's the glue of that show. And it really felt like that. And so it was just holds a special place in my heart for that one. And I'm going to give you one more, just because I can, which is one of my favorite musicals of all time. I think it's a beautiful score. It's The Secret Garden. And I played Archie Craven in it. And the emotional depth that Wendy Boyack got out of me was a truly phenomenal experience for me. It would take me... I would sit down in the dressing room probably 10 minutes after the show was over, when everybody had gone out to see people, just to pull myself out of that place that I had to go to. My dressing room was in the house manager's office, because she wanted me to have a place where I could go and not be, distracted by people, and have a place to decompress. But it was, probably one of my favorite roles to play. And I get teased by my husband about this all the time, because I have roles that I like to play, dream roles that I like to play. And he's like, you can only have one dream role of a lifetime. I'm like, maybe you can only have one dream role of a lifetime, but you can have several dream roles that I'd love to play. So one of the roles that was on my bucket list was Bobby and Company. So hopefully we get to do it next season, but that's another one of those songs like Bring Him Home Being Alive, that I've always wanted to sing and have never touched, because I feel like it's one of those songs. So I was really sad I don't get to sing that song this year, but it's okay. And the other two roles, I would love to play Sweeney Todd, just because I think it's a phenomenal role. And Tevye has always been a dream role of mine. So, and I'm getting to the age of Tevye. Give me another 5-10 years and I'll be fine. I just directed it at Central 2 years ago, and it was probably one of the best experiences I've had there at Central High School. The first one I co-directed with Cease Kuntz. We did City of Angels, and then I directed Brigadoon, probably one of my all-time favorite musicals. And then I actually had my co-teacher at Central, Wendy Boyack, come out and help me with it. She was my assistant director. And then I did a review as a fundraiser about 6 years ago called A Star is Born, which was partial Disney, partial Pentacle hits from the past 20 years. And then I just co-directed with Danny Potter, the Savannah Sipping Society. I told myself after Brigadoon I wouldn't direct anything again, because I really direct all year long at school. We do 4 shows at school. And so when I do theater outside of school, I kind of want to perform. But as the PRC chair, we read all of these plays, and then Savannah Sipping Society came through, and I I laughed, I cried when I read it, and I was like, I have to do this show. We have the women to do this show. I want to do this show. So I won't say I will never direct a Pentacle, but it has to be special, and it has to be something that just gets me. I don't have anything that says I want to direct that. It's just I'll read something and go, that I want to do. So until I read that next one, I don't know. Stay tuned. I don't know. That's what that theater is, and I think that's what's special about that theater. Is it is all volunteer based, from taking out the trash to to mopping the floors, to building a set, to selling tickets, to selling drinks during intermission. I mean, even if you don't want to be on stage, there's a place for everybody to be at Pentacle Theater. And I think that's what's unique about Pentacle, is that we make room for anybody who wants to be there. Sometimes we can come across as exclusive, but that's because, and I think, and people don't get this, that's because the people that do come love doing it, so they want to come back. And so you have a bunch of people that come all the time because they want to be there. It's not because we only take those people, it's just those people come because they love it so much. And anybody wants to come, you will love it, and you will feel like you're part of that family, because that's what Pentacle Theater is family. I think what makes it special is that I was taken in as a youngster, and no one ever let me go, and no one ever said, you don't really have a place here. And it really, Pentacle got me through a really difficult time in my life when I was young, and I will never. That's why it holds such a special place in my heart, and I will never forget that. And it's just such a sense of community and such a sense of family that I didn't get in any other theaters that I went to. And I think once you start making art about making money, it loses something. And this comes from a place of just true wanting to make art for art's sake at Pentacle Theater. And that's not to say that those other theaters don't do a fantastic job, because I think they do. I just feel a special place in my heart for Pentacle. I was the vocal director for Once Upon a Mattress that Deborah Johansen directed. And the guy who was playing the minstrel, night before closing night, something happened, and he took off his costume, threw it on the ground, and walked out, and didn't come back. And so I got a phone call from Deborah the next morning saying, our minstrel quit. We need you to come play the minstrel. I'm like, okay. Deborah, I don't think I can memorize those lines by tonight. She goes, you don't have to. Just memorize the first song, because he's carrying a mandolin around with him, or a lute or whatever it was that we were using, so I would really like you to be able to kind of set that scene for the show. So just work on memorizing the first line. You can carry the script around with you. So I worked like a dog to memorize that song. And I'm usually pretty good at memorizing, but I got out on stage with that mandolin and those lights came up and I'm like, holy shit. And I just lost the words. I mean, I kept singing, and I don't know if it made sense, but all I know is when we got downstage after that first song, they were like, how did you do that? You didn't sing anywhere near the right words, but everything rhymed. Everything still rhymed. I'm like, I don't know. But it was one of those moments on stage where it's like, I literally am probably peeing my pants right now. Because it's like, my mind just went utterly blank, and I'm like, I'm just going to sing some words. And hopefully something comes out that sounds like a story. And anyway, it went on, but that was. And the other thing I did was I was in Kiss Me Kate, and I was playing Hortensio, and for some reason I I know it's hard to believe that I'm not like this strapping athletic dude. I had this one in this one dance scene. I was standing on the center fountain and I had to jump and do these splits, and my pants just split all the way from stem to stern. Um, and I had to be on stage for the next 20 minutes with these pants, and they're balloon pants, so it's not something I can just easily um, keep hidden. But I tried, kept hidden, and our costumer was not there that night, obviously. So literally, in the 4 minutes that I had between that and my next scene, I ran down to the dressing room bring out the sewing machine. I've never sewed in my life, but I sewed my pants shut that night. So now from that experience, I tell people I can sew a straight line. Because it was breezy on stage, I'm not going to lie. I would say that not only do we miss seeing our patrons, miss seeing our friends, but I miss the camaraderie and the storytelling, and that will all come back. And because of all this, we're going to have lots more fun stories to tell, because it's been an adventure. We want it to happen soon, and it'll happen when it does. But until then, know that we love you all, and we miss you all. And I love you all. I miss you all. And look forward to seeing you really soon at that little theater in the woods. It's a special place where everybody belongs. And we'd love for you to belong. So come test it out.